When news first broke that Menglong had passed away after a reported fall from a building, many people assumed it would follow the familiar pattern of most tragedies in the public eye. A wave of shock, a few days of intense coverage, and then a slow fading from the headlines. But this time something different happened. Instead of disappearing, the story seemed to grow deeper with each passing day. The sadness did not simply settle, it lingered, as if the world was not ready to let go of him or the questions surrounding his final days. For countless fans, he was not just a name on a screen. He was a gentle presence they had grown up with, a quiet artist whose characters accompanied them through different seasons of their lives. His passing felt less like distant news and more like a personal loss. People revisited his dramas, rewatched interviews where he smiled shyly, and replayed moments where his sincerity shone through. In that space between memory and reality, grief found a place to stay. Yet it was not only grief that kept the story alive. It was the feeling that something about this goodbye was unfinished. There were details that seemed uncertain, timelines that felt fragile, and a silence that left room for too many what-if questions. In a world connected by screens, an unanswered story rarely remains quiet. Viewers from different countries, speaking different languages, all found themselves drawn into the same emotional current. They were not just following an incident, they were responding to a sense of incompleteness. That is why this tragedy refused to fade. It became more than a single event in the entertainment industry. It became a shared moment of reflection, where people across the world paused and asked themselves what it means when a life ends and the truth still feels out of reach. As the initial shock of Menglong's passing began to settle, the story did not quieten. Instead, it was pulled into what many observers now describe as a storm of clues. On social media, fragments started to appear in waves. A screenshot claimed to be an old message, a line of text suggesting pressure, a photograph reposted without context, a short video clip showing a tired face or a fading smile. None of these pieces came with official confirmation, yet each one carried enough emotional weight to invite interpretation. People did not simply look at them. They read into them, searching for hidden meanings and connections that might explain what still felt inexplicable. In this digital climate, every fragment can feel like a potential key. A few words in a caption become a hint. A change in expression becomes a sign. A date, a location, a blurred background. All of it is examined again and again by strangers who never knew you personally, but feel compelled to stand witness to his story. It is not always driven by malice. Often it comes from a place of care, a desire to understand and to do justice to someone they believe suffered in silence. But even good intentions can feed a cycle in which emotion moves faster than verification. This is the essence of the clue storm. Not a single piece of decisive evidence, but a swirl of unverified materials that keep emotions high and questions open. With every new post, the sense of unfinished business grows stronger, and people are drawn back into the narrative as if they might, this time, find the missing answer. Yet beneath that constant searching lies a quiet tension. The more these so-called clues spread, the harder it becomes to distinguish between what is known and what is only imagined. In that tension, the story of Menglong continues to live, carried not only by facts, but by the hopes, fears, and projections of countless viewers around the world. What makes Menglong's story so striking is that it did not remain confined within the borders of one country or the circle of his existing fans. It traveled. It crossed languages, platforms, and time zones, and quietly found its way into the hearts of people who had never watched a single one of his dramas. On the surface, it might look like just another celebrity tragedy amplified by the internet, but beneath that surface lies something far more human. Many people did not simply see the story of an actor. They saw reflections of their own silent struggles. Behind the polished images, the bright lights, and the carefully curated public persona, they sensed a familiar weight. The pressure to perform, to endure, to carry burdens quietly because others expect you to be strong. In a world where so many feel overworked, misunderstood, or trapped by expectations they did not choose, the idea of someone gentle and soft-spoken, reaching a breaking point cuts deeply. It awakens a quiet fear that success does not always mean safety, and that visibility does not guarantee protection. This emotional recognition is part of why the case spread across continents. People in different societies, facing different systems, still recognize the same patterns of exhaustion and silence. They did not need to share his language to understand his fatigue. At the same time, the way the story unfolded raised larger questions that resonate globally. How do we treat those in the public eye? How often do we mistake a composed expression for true well-being? And how easily do we consume another person's pain as entertainment without asking what it costs them? As these questions arose, the conversation around Menglong stopped being only about one life in one industry. It became a shared moment of introspection for audiences around the world. A reminder that behind every image and every performance, there is a human being carrying a story we may never fully see. One of the most powerful reasons Menglong's story will not leave people's minds is this quiet, unsettling realization. In some way, it feels like it could be about them. Not the fame, not the cameras, not the red carpets, but the inner weight that a gentle person might carry while trying not to worry anyone around them. When viewers hear about pressure, contracts, expectations, and silent anxiety, many do not only think of the entertainment industry. They think of their own office, their classroom, their family, the unspoken rules in their own lives. They remember nights when they were exhausted but still smiled, days when they wanted to say, "I am not okay," but instead chose to say, "I am fine, don't worry." In Yu's story, people sense a familiar pattern, someone who appears calm and composed on the outside, yet may have been asking for help in ways the world did not fully recognize. That possibility touches a nerve. It suggests that suffering can be invisible even when a person is standing under the brightest lights. It raises the haunting thought that our friends, colleagues, or even we ourselves might be closer to that edge than anyone realizes. This is the mirror moment. Audiences are not just looking at a distant tragedy. They are seeing their own vulnerability reflected back at them. Quietly, beneath all the noise of theories and speculation, a softer question emerges. How many times have we overlooked the signs in someone's eyes because we were too busy, too distracted, or too used to their smile? And how many times has society asked people to endure a little more, to keep going, to be professional, without truly hearing what their silence was trying to say? In recognizing themselves in Yu's story, viewers are not only mourning him, they are confronting the fragile parts of their own lives, and that shared fragility is what makes this case feel so painfully close. In another time, a story like Menglong's might have remained local, carried by newspapers and quiet conversations. Today, it moves through a very different landscape. The moment his name appears online, it enters a vast digital system that does not simply pass information along, it magnifies it. A single post can be shared thousands of times in minutes. A short clip can cross borders before anyone has fully understood when it was filmed or what it truly shows. People from different countries speaking different languages end up reacting to the same fragments on the same day, as if the whole world were sitting in one enormous, restless room. This digital amplification is not entirely negative. It allows compassion to travel quickly. It gives fans a space to grieve together, to share memories, artwork, and gentle words, so that his life is honored rather than forgotten. Yet the same force that spreads kindness can also spread confusion. When emotion moves faster than verification, opinions can harden into truths that no one has carefully checked. In this sense, the online world becomes both a candlelight vigil and an echo chamber. It invites us to care, but also quietly asks us to be more responsible with the stories we choose to repeat. Here's a thought that hasn't been said enough. Sometimes a tragedy becomes symbolic not because people want drama, but because they want meaning. Menglong's case has turned into a kind of global discussion about the hidden cost of fame, the emotional side of contracts and pressure, the fine line between public image and private struggle, and how we, as audiences, can protect human dignity in the age of viral content. In a way, the world isn't only asking what happened to you. The world is also asking, how do we stop stories like this from repeating? That shift from curiosity to responsibility is why this story continues to matter. Right now, the most honest place to stand is here. We respect the grief. We respect the family's privacy. We recognize the unanswered questions. And we wait for verified clarity, not rushed conclusions. Until then, remembering Menglong with dignity and kindness is the most meaningful thing any of us can do. If you found this update thoughtful, please give the video a like. It helps the channel reach more people who care about truth and compassion. Subscribe to Update X24H for the next chapter as this story develops, and share your views respectfully in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and please take care of yourselves. See you in the next video.